So, welcome everyone to this session, to this workshop on self love and healing the relationship with ourselves. So, this is the first session of a series of live sessions that I'm going to be holding this month because, as a lot of you might be aware by now, February is always the month when wherever you go, you just see everything is red, everything is heart shaped, everything is chocolatey, everything is like roses, and it's a big reminder that you should either be spending a lot of money on these things or receiving or expecting to receive a lot of these things, right? So I thought, well, since the collective energy is all around love and relationships, we may as well tune into that energy and do some healing around the topic. So I'm going to be here every Thursday at the same time. Next week we're going to start talking about relationships. We're going to start talking about why relationships fail and a lot of common mistakes that people make that make relationships fail. We're also going to talk in another session about healing all stories and how very often we carry relationship baggage that doesn't do us any good. And we've all been there, right? Like we've all had a negative experience in a relationship, someone that cheated on us or betrayed us or treated us badly, abusive behavior, lied to us, or simply just left and broke our heart, right? And we carry those imprints. So it's very, very important that we clear that before we can be fully available to start a healthy and nurturing relationship. And the final session is going to be on the mindset shifts that need to take place and how to align ourselves with the energy and with the vibration that will be in resonance with us attracting healthy partners, beautiful loving relationships. Now maybe you're in a relationship already, and this will apply to you as well. Maybe there's something that you can improve. Maybe you're looking to meet someone, maybe you're in a relationship but you want to get out of it and you're not sure how, or maybe your love life is fantastic at the moment but there are other relationships that are not going that well, for example with family members or friends. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be sharing in these workshops are going to be mainly focused on romantic relationships, let's say, but they will apply as well to other type of relationships. So but before we can deep dive into relationship stuff, the first thing we need to look at is the relationship with ourselves. And that's why today's session is all about self-love and healing the relationship with ourselves. And this is very important because other relationships, or what happens in other relationships very often, is a reflection of what's going on inside with the relationship with ourselves. And I'm going to be covering this in more detail. There's going to be time for self-reflection. We're going to do some experiential exercises with some kind of like meditation or inner awareness things. So make yourself comfortable, grab pen and paper if you have it handy. If you like writing, close your eyes, light up some candles. If you prefer to, be in just receiving mode to see what comes up for you. Somebody is asking if I will record it and post it later. Yeah, I can upload videos here, but I will try to upload it either to my YouTube channel or maybe the audio. But yeah, I'm trying to record these sessions so they don't just go. Hi Laurie, thank you for being here. Welcome Elena. Hello. Right, okay. So the relationship with ourselves, that is a big thing. And like I said, what we experience in other relationships very often is a reflection of the relationship that we have with ourselves. And very often how people treat us will be very, very similar. If we are honest with ourselves, that might be very similar to how we treat ourselves. So if we want to fully love and be loved, we need to love ourselves first. Because if we don't value ourselves, no one's going to value us. if we don't realize our self-worth, no one's going to realize it. If we don't celebrate ourselves, if we are not that in that frequency, if we are not in that vibration, if we don't know how to do it, how can you ask someone to deeply love you? How can you ask someone to respect and value and honor yourself and respect your boundaries when it's us, the ones that very often don't celebrate ourselves and don't honor ourselves and don't treat ourselves nicely, and we don't set boundaries, so we cannot ask someone to do something that we don't do to ourselves. And I don't mean by this, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if someone has an abusive behavior or or is a bully, it doesn't mean that it's your fault, obviously, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. But there is a big element of why do we get attracted to certain relationships in the first place, and why do they feel like they always end up in a very similar way, or they always play out in a very similar way, or the negative or toxic patterns are very, very similar. And maybe this has happened to you, that you have been in a relationship only to find yourself in another relationship that followed the same patterns and played out in a very similar way. It was just with a person with a different color hair, or maybe a bit taller, a bit shorter, different color eyes, but the dynamics were very, very similar. So that's also another factor to consider. What beliefs about ourselves, about relationships, about love, about men or women, are making us be attracted to certain relationships or to certain dynamics. Because this, like I said, this apply not only to romantic relationships, but sometimes the pattern is at work with your managers or authority figures, or maybe it's with your family, or maybe with your friends, so we're going to have a look at all that. So like I said, if we want someone to love us, if we are asking someone to truly love us and respect us and value us, we have to do that to ourselves first. We need to love ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to set boundaries. We need to value and honor and celebrate ourselves. Now, the problem here is that self-love has a bad reputation because we grow up kind of programmed to stay small, to be humble, don't stand out too much. A lot of us might have beliefs like your needs are not important, or you only think of yourself, you're so selfish. And when we are exposed to all these ideas, and I don't mean that we were exposed to literally that phrase, like one of our parents telling us literally that phrase. In some cases, it would be the case. But also we learn a lot through just seeing and understanding our role models, and if they love themselves and how they interacted in relationships, and if they approved, not just with what they say, but if they approved with the body language, with their emotional reaction, because we pick that up, and especially when we're kids, like we pick that up immediately. We're like little sponges, so we pick that up immediately, and we start making decisions. So when it comes to self-love, it has a very bad reputation because it's assumed that if you love yourself, or you're arrogant, or you're full of ego, or you don't care about others. And there are a lot of misconceptions here about self-love that I want to clarify. So, for example, when we love ourselves, it's not about stroking our ego. It's not about self-validation. It's about acceptance. It's about accepting ourselves for who we are. And it's about treating ourselves with love and compassion. And as I talk about this, what I would like to invite you to do is that you don't just rationalize it. You might agree with me, you might not, you might have a different view, and that's perfectly fine. But what I would like to invite you to do is to see how that lands within you in your body system, you know? So when I'm saying, for example, self-love is about accepting yourself. It's about showing compassion and kindness to yourself. You know, let that come to your awareness. Oh, do I treat myself with compassion? Do I treat myself with kindness? So let it be a bit of a self-exploration journey, this talk, not just me talking and blah blah blahing, you know, for the next 40 minutes or 1 hour or more than 1 hour. I don't know how long we're going to be here for, probably around an hour. But let it sink in and let it see what that brings up for you, or what that means for you. So yeah, it's not about that ego, it's not about the validation. It's about treating ourselves like we would treat anyone else you love in the world. And I'm going to invite you to answer this question. If you think about the person you love the most in the world, and that might be your partner, your spouse, one of your parents, your kids, if you have, it might be your pet, I don't know, you know, whoever, the person, the being you love the most in the world, in a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not much and not at all, and 10 being, oof, I couldn't love them anymore. How much do you love them today? Quickly, whatever comes to your awareness, whatever number comes to your awareness. So the person you love the most, right? How much do you love them today? And I will bet money that for most of you, 10. Yeah, the first thing I see, Kiana, 10. I will bet money that for most of you, the answer is going to be 10, 12, 100. Can't even measure it. I love them so much. So now I'm going to ask you another question. In a scale of 0 to 10, being 0, meh, not at all, and 10, I couldn't love them more. How much do you love yourself today? And again, whatever comes to your awareness first. Infinity, JG says. Yeah, exactly. Good morning, Tana. Kiana saying 100. Amazing. Amazing. That's really amazing. If you love yourself 100 in a scale of 0 to 10, wonderful. Million, amazing. So we have a lot of people here who really love themselves. I love that. I love that. Jay saying 5. I don't know what was your number for the person you love the most, but the point I want to make is that very often what we feel about the person we love the most in the world, about others, about our loved ones, is normally much higher than how much we love ourselves. There's another 5 coming in from Tony. So yeah, so that's a big difference. And if we think about it, it doesn't make any sense that, you know, the body we came here to live in, the person we are, why can't we not be the person who loves us the most, right? Why can I not be the person that loves myself the most? Why can it not be a 10, 100, a million, infinity, you know, when it comes to loving ourselves? And there is a lot of programming around, you know, you have to love others, other people's needs, some more important, and, you know, keep yourself small. Oh, they're gonna think you're selfish, they're gonna think you're arrogant. So, and it's not about that. It's about starting to treat ourselves like we would treat the person we love the most in the world, in the good days and in the bad days. Because when we have a good day and we've smashed it at work, you know, and we've got a promotion, or business is going great, and, you know, and we're on holidays and we're having so much fun, and we're exercising, and we look good and we feel good, you know, it's relatively easy to be, oh, I'm so proud of myself and I love myself. But what about the bad days? And the bad days is when we need to love ourselves the most. Love, and self-love in this case, because that's what we're talking about, self-love should be unconditional. It shouldn't depend on how much you have achieved this year, how many goals you have achieved in 2023, how much money you've made, how much progress you've made with your business or your studies. Self-love, authentic, unconditional love. That's why it's unconditional, because it's not based on any conditions. It's not like, oh, if you're good at work and if you're smashing it and if you go to the gym and exercise and eat healthily and you're positive about, then yeah, I'm gonna love myself. Then you deserve to be loved, because then it's not unconditional love anymore, is it? It's just celebrating the wins, which is great. But what I'm talking about here with self-love, I'm talking about unconditional love, loving ourselves just because we are, not because of what we do, not because of what we achieve. That's the head. We don't love with the head. Loving from the heart, from a place of acceptance. And that is so key. Imagine the ones of you who have kids know this very well. But the ones of you who don't will understand it equally. What does a baby need to grow? What does a kid need to grow? Unconditional love, acceptance. Where do most of our problems come in life? When we have limiting beliefs, when we have blocks based on how we were treated, because we weren't accepted, because we weren't listened to, because we were rejected, because we were only shown love based on certain conditions. If we behaved well, if we were a good girl or a strong boy, that's where most of our problems come from. And same as a baby and a kid needs that unconditional love and acceptance to grow healthy, we need that as well. We forget this. We forget this, but this is so key. So key. And by this I don't mean that, oh, it's okay if your life is a mess. It's like, don't try to change anything. Don't try to improve yourself. Just love yourself in whatever way we are. It's great to want to challenge yourself and to want to push yourself and to want to improve yourself. Of course it is. But self-love shouldn't be based on that improvement or facing those challenges, if that makes sense. Let me know, guys, how this is landing in the chat. I see some hearts, so I guess it's landing well so far. If you have any questions, feel free to share them in the comments. Any insights, any experiences, I always love to hear from you. So this is probably the first point, and kind of like if I were asked what number one takeaway I would like you guys to take from this session, it would probably be that one: unconditional love. The self-love is not based on celebrating wins and achievements. It's about loving ourselves for who we are. Like you would unconditionally love a baby, and like in the good moments and in the bad moments. And in the good moments, yeah, we might, because we don't always do. In the good moments also, we are harsh with ourselves. Oh, it wasn't that important. Oh, don't get too arrogant. It wasn't that big a deal. But when we're in the bad moments, then we can become our worst enemies. And in that environment, in an environment when you are not accepted and self-loved, or loved by yourself, that sounds better, accepted by yourself, valued by yourself, loved by yourself, it's very difficult to heal. It's very difficult to heal, to let go of what you no longer need, and it's very difficult to thrive. It's very difficult to thrive, let alone be in a healthy relationship, because everything that goes inside, if there is no self-love, will be reflected and projected, and sometimes it will be manifested in the relationship like a mirror, so we can see it, so we get the hint, and this happens a lot. So I'm going to invite you to just see how that lands, that thing about loving yourself unconditionally, also in the bad days. And if there is any resistance, we're going to do an exercise later for self-awareness on this resistance, because I know that there will be a lot of beliefs about self-love and about yourself that might clash with these ideas, or with the concept of loving yourself unconditionally, and valuing yourself and celebrating yourself and honoring yourself. And that's what we're going to do today as well, bring awareness to that resistance and understanding where that comes from. So again, another misconception is that if we love ourselves and if we show the world that we do love ourselves, we're going to come across as arrogant. And it's not about being arrogant, it's about knowing, it's about valuing yourself and knowing what you bring to the table, and celebrating yourself. And again, this has a very bad reputation, and I will probably say that even more for women in my experience. And we have this programming, about keep quiet and be small and please everyone else. And if you love yourself, then you come across empowered. And because someone who truly loves herself or himself, that's where true power comes from. Power and love are not opposite. And we also tend to think that the self-love or love in general is like a weakness, kindness, compassion. Oh, that's weak, that's for the weak ones. And not at all, not at all. You can't be in your power if you don't love yourself, if you don't accept yourself. So from that place of love, of self-love, comes true power. And that can be scary for some people. And some people might not like it. Maybe your parental figures or authority figures, it's like, oh, you're too much, And we need to leave all this behind, because this is all programming and, not doing us any good. And of course, when we start loving ourselves, what's the first thing you do? Because you love yourself and because you value yourself, you start treating yourself with respect. You start honoring your needs. So what's the first thing you do? You start setting boundaries. And you start saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you very much. But no, I don't need you in your life. No, I don't need you in my life. No, I'm not going to tolerate this behavior. No, this talk is not acceptable. And you start setting boundaries. And people don't like this. People don't like this because we have certain dynamics, or we have certain patterns. And yeah, that creates a dynamic within the relationship, whether that's with your family members, romantic life, friends, whatever that is. And then the idea that we have to be available for everyone goes against the idea of setting boundaries, right? So when we start setting boundaries, so imagine, you have a friend for many years, or you've been in a relationship or with your family, and suddenly you change. And I know that you guys, all of you guys who are here, I know you're in a self-improvement journey, you're in a healing journey, you're into personal development, you want to grow, you want to heal, you want to be better, right? And as you do that, you start changing. And you've probably noticed that when you start setting boundaries, the other person, whether that's romantic partner, a friend, someone in the family, the other person goes, well, I don't like your new attitude. And they will do anything possible in their hands to try to stop that change. Because if there was a dynamic, like a dynamic, for example, victim rescuer dynamic, or victim persecutor, something like that, if there was a very strong dynamic or a very strong pattern, anything that alters the what's the word I want to use? Yeah, the dynamic of it, or the motion of it, anything that breaks it will create resistance in the other part. So you start loving yourself, you start setting boundaries, and then the other people go like, you're changing, you're different, you're weird, you used to be much nicer, and so it's difficult to sometimes start in that self-love journey and setting boundaries, because it's going to have an impact on all the people are going to have a reaction. But again, if we don't set our own boundaries, and if we don't honor our needs, we can't ask someone else to honor our needs or to respect boundaries that we don't even keep ourselves. You know what I mean? So there needs to be a balance. And I always talk about this. So imagine a line, and in this line, you're being very selfish, and which we don't want to go to this point, obviously. So in this point, you're being very, very selfish, and you're only thinking about yourself. You don't help anyone. It's all about me, and my needs, right? And in this other extreme, you're always available for everyone. It doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter how much work you have. It doesn't matter what's going on for you. You're always available for everyone else. You always take that phone call. You're always available for that person who loves to complain and be negative and feed from you, right? So in that scale, there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. And because if we are always at this end of the scale, so where we are very selfish and only think about ourselves, then we put in barriers, right? There's something that we're out of balance. We're too much into us. So we are not using skills like kindness and compassion and sharing and giving. We're just receiving. We're not giving. We are at that end of the spectrum. But when we are in the other extreme, what happens is that sometimes we burn out, because you can't give, you can't pour from an empty glass. So there needs to be a balance between what you give and from what place and from what energy you are giving. And sometimes for people who tend to be at the end of the scale, where they have spent decades of their lives giving, never receiving, pleasing, always being available for everyone else, sometimes they might have to come to this end of the scale for a little bit and start to be a bit selfish and start to set stronger boundaries, so you can go back to balance, so you can go to a place where you are in the middle, where you give when you are emotionally available, physically available, spiritually available, when you have the resources to do so. So because otherwise you're going to burn out, and then we become resentful. And I hear Jay saying drama triangle. Yeah, rescuer, victim, persecutor. We all take on some of these roles every now and then. Sometimes we switch, so when those dynamics take place, and we realize that we've been at this end of the scale, the giving, pleasing others, giving too much, and when we start setting more boundaries to become more in balance with ourselves, then the other person is like, hey, can't fit for you anymore. Hey, you're not available for me all the time anymore. Who am I going to complain to now? So yeah. So it's about the balance. It's not about going to the other extreme. There is a very good question here from Tony. How to love self, but also improve, grow, evolve. Or in the case, if children learning appropriate boundaries. So how to hold self-love and realism at the same time. The thing is that self-love, at least for me, comes from a place of acceptance, but not conforming. For me, acceptance and conforming are two very different things. Acceptance means that if today I woke up and I've done a lot of work and I'm doing this session and I feel great because I had a healthy breakfast, then I love myself. But maybe tomorrow, or what can I think? I don't know. When I'm feeling bad and when I wake up with all those negative thoughts and the mind gremlins and and you feel bad because you had terrible food the day before and you wake up feeling, all over the place and out of balance, I still love myself. Now, I know that whatever behavior or attitude, or, maybe there's something in me that I want to heal, that I want to improve. But I still love myself in that bad day. And I just accept that it is okay to have a bad day. I'm not conforming with the idea that I have like, for example, maybe an addiction or unhealthy eating habits, or a really bad limiting belief that is really blocking my life, or a big trauma that I decide or I keep choosing not to heal, and it's making my life miserable. So it's different. For me, that's the key. Acceptance versus conforming are two very different things. So you can still love yourself in a good day. Sorry, when you have a bad day. You can still love yourself when you have a bad day. And just, and that comes from a place of, okay, maybe I'll just let myself be today. I'm not going to push. It's like you see a kid, you see a little baby, and they're sick and they're tired, and they're tired because they've eaten all the sweets that were available at school. And what will you say to them? Oh, you deserve this, and now you deserve to be punished, and I'm so glad you're feeling this bad because now you will learn the lesson. No, you will go and give them a hug. Maybe when they're feeling a bit better, you can say, by the way, do you realize what happened when you ate a ton of sweets? And then you can start working on that behavior. But it comes always from a place of love and kindness and compassion. And from there is where we can heal and grow and flower, because there, and thrive. Because if there is a part of ourselves that is so harsh, like a very strong critic, or a lot of negative thoughts, a very critical voice inside of, how does that feel? I'm sure everyone here knows that voice very well, because most people I've ever come across, I don't know if I've ever come across with someone that didn't have, like no negative thoughts whatsoever, no inner critic. No, and if you're one of them, please let me know. And because you're one of a kind. I'm sure a lot of you, if not most of you, if not all of you, know the voice I'm talking about. And how does it feel to have that voice inside of you? It's a pain. It's an absolute pain. It's an absolute pain, because whatever you're going through, it makes it worse. Because the person who's supposed to love yourself and be there for you, yourself, not only is not there, is ramping up or passing the microphone to a horrible part of yourself that only has negative things to say and harsh and critical things to say. So it's a pain. It's an absolute pain. Yeah, Alice saying it's a daily battle with my inner critic and dialogue. Yeah, and I think I said that horrible part of ourselves. I shouldn't have said that, because there are no horrible parts of ourselves. There are annoying parts of ourselves. But every thought, every belief that we say to ourselves, every part of ourselves, as annoying as we might find them, it's still part of us. So again, same idea. Yeah, you might want to work on your inner critic, but you don't want to hate your inner critic. You don't want to fight your inner critic or repress your inner critic, because then it's gonna come back even louder and even stronger. And I do this work all the time with my clients. And as soon as a part of themselves that is a bit annoying because it's critical, or because it's is self-sabotaging or something like that, there's always another part that goes, look what you're doing to me. And there's that fight. And with that fight, no one wins. Now, when we give that part, that inner critic, or the part that self-sabotages or whatever, when we give that part, again, just space and love and kindness and compassion. And that doesn't mean that we're going to let them be like that for the rest of our lives, right? No, we're doing the work. We're not conforming, we're doing the work. But we do it from a place of, you are listened to and you are loved. And then when they feel loved and accepted, it's like, oh, this feels different. And that suddenly feels different, because most of the time those parts of ourselves haven't felt listened to or understood, or haven't been treated well before. And when there is that change, and when we are able to give ourselves that love and that compassion, they're like, oh, this is different. Now we can have a dialogue. Now we can have a conversation and see if we come to an agreement, and see where that takes us. And then real healing can take place from that space of acceptance. So, and also the beauty of it is that it's not only good to yourself, not only you create a space where you can be honest with yourself, because sometimes we lie to ourselves, sometimes we cheat ourselves, right? And we know that there's a behavior, something we want to change, we know that we're sabotaging ourselves, we know that we're blocking ourselves, but we don't want to admit it, and we're going to go deep, because we know there's going to be a very critical part of ourselves that is going to make us feel even worse, right? But when you start doing this work, and you start loving yourself, and you can start healing yourself, and then limiting beliefs start to clear, or past trauma, or old stories, painful experiences that left an imprint in us. From that space we can start to heal. And then when you start to heal and when you start to love yourself more, it's not only good for you, for your journey. You feel much better, you feel much more at peace, you can breathe, and the heart expands, and everything is like, oh, so much better. When it comes to relationships, which is the topic that we're going to be talking a lot about this month, when it comes to relationships, when you start loving yourself and when you start setting those boundaries and knowing that you deserve to set those boundaries and knowing that you deserve worth, that you are worthy of being treated well, and when that starts to shift, then you no longer tolerate BS. You no longer tolerate being treated badly. You no longer tolerate abusive behavior. You no longer feel attracted to the bad boys or the bad girls that are going to hurt you. Because sometimes we walked into a relationship, we meet someone, and the attraction is there, and it's like, oh, but deep inside your heart is like, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. And you know it already before the relationship even starts. And that person has the word trouble, pain, broken heart, in the forehead. So when you come from that place, it's much easier to start relationships, even if that's friendships or just how you interact with people, with your neighbors, people at work, your family. Everything changes. But then you start feeling attracted to other type of people that will treat you differently, that will show other values, and you become more in resonance with that. And we will be covering a lot more about being in a relationship, in particular, whether that's starting a relationship or improving a current relationship, in some of the future workshops. But to keep it to the topic of self-love today, what I'm going to invite you to do now is, if you have pen and paper handy, I'm going to invite you to write down any insights that might have come up for you so far. Maybe you agreed with the things I said. Maybe some of them you're like, not sure about that. Maybe something really clicked, something inside. Maybe suddenly a part of yourself got triggered, or there was a eureka moment, or whatever that is for you. Whatever that is, give it a bit of space if you want to write it down, or if you just want to close your eyes and connect with that part of yourself, or whatever energy, whatever emotion came up for you. And just give it a space, give it the space that it deserves. And just from a place of observation, like you're an external observer, and just giving it your kind attention. No judgment, no criticism, just acceptance, and see how that goes. I'm going also to invite you to reflect a little bit about the relationship with yourself. How is the relationship with yourself? And I have a course, by the way, on self-love here on Insight Timer. It's a 7-day course, and some of the lessons, they have a lot of journaling prompts for self-reflection around the relationship with yourself and your role models. So if you want to go a bit deeper, I would definitely recommend you do that course. But for today, I would like to invite you to just reflect a little bit on how that relationship with yourself is, or how it has been in the past, how it has evolved, if it has changed in any way. And by relationship with yourself, I mean, what do you say to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror? What do you say to yourself when you wake up and you're feeling bad? What do you say to yourself when you wake up and you're having a good day? Is that different? How do you feel about your body? What words do you use to describe your body? And this says so much about the relationship with ourselves, how we treat our bodies, the words we say about our bodies, and what we say about ourselves. Because sometimes, we just even, it's like a joke. I'm so silly. I'm always so stupid. Oh my God, it's just I'm useless. I'm helpless. And we use these words a lot as a joke, you know? They have power. Words have a lot of power. Words have a lot of power. Our thoughts about ourselves, what we say about ourselves, how we treat ourselves. So even if it sounds like a joke, it does have power. You are telling yourself how stupid you are and how silly you are and how useless you are. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. The heart doesn't like that. The heart goes, ugh. Heart doesn't like to hear those things. So today, and but also from now on, maybe something that you can do is keep a journal, or keep attention these days, to the words you use to describe yourself, to the thoughts, the self narrative. What do you say about yourself, about your body, about your qualities, about your life, what you eat, what the food we eat, if we drink, if we smoke, if we take drugs, like how we treat our body. It's so basic, but so important. If you allow yourself to sleep well, if you have any self-care routine, so important. It's just an invitation for self-reflection there. And I'm going to ask you, this is going to be a more experiential part of the session. We're going to go a bit deeper now, if you'd like to join me. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a few moments. And bring your awareness to your heart. And let's take a few deep breaths. In through the nose, and you can breathe out through the mouth a few times if that feels right for you. Not forcing the breath. And breathing deeply and slowly into the heart. Coming to that space, to the core of your being. Shifting your awareness from the head, the thinking, the doing, the achieving, to the heart, to a place of being, to the here and now, to the present moment. And visualize yourself having a beautiful and loving relationship with yourself, treating yourself with so much love, taking care of yourself, treating yourself like you deserve, treating yourself like a queen, like a king, accepting yourself unconditionally in the good moments and in the bad moments. You may even want to hug yourself or visualize yourself hugging yourself. Maybe even say, I love you to yourself. I love myself. I love you. Insert your name. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself for who I am. And now I want you to pay attention to see how the body reacts to this. If there was any discomfort, any parts of the body that tensed up, any tension, any energies that didn't feel quite right in the body. Maybe one of the energy centers, one of the chakras going like, maybe a negative thought came in. Something like, oh, this is nonsense. Oh, you haven't done anything to deserve this love. So who do you think you are? Did you see if there was any resistance there? and give a bit of space to that resistance in whatever format it came. If it was a part of yourself, the inner critic, if it was a negative thought, if it was suddenly a disempowering belief, if it was an unpleasant emotion or energy in the body, yeah, give it space and have a dialogue. Have a dialogue with it and ask them, oh, hello, inner critic. Welcome to this space. How are you feeling today? So why do you feel that you need to be so critical? Or if it's a negative thought, ask that, oh, so when did I decide this? Take me to the moment when I made this decision that I wasn't worthy of this unconditional love. If it's a sensation in the body, try to track it. Okay, so when have I felt like this before? And if you might want even to describe it, like sometimes it feels like, I don't know, like it could be a red ball of anger in the stomach, or a lump of dark energy in the throat, try to track it and ask it, okay, so when have I felt like this before? And see where that takes you. And have a dialogue to that younger you or that part of yourself that holds certain beliefs, blocking you having that loving relationship with yourself. And you can take your time to do this. You might want to experiment with this a bit more, having more time outside of this session. I would definitely recommend you do that. But this was just, like we're getting away. We're getting awareness of any blocks that might be stopping ourselves from having that beautiful and loving relationship with ourselves. So I'm just going to catch up with the comments in the chat. Okay, so when I asked about self-reflection, Tony said self-awareness, openness, understanding, patience, healing came to mind. Amazing. Love those words. Perhaps as layers underlying the word self-love, an openness to inner dialogue. And that is the thing that here I'm sharing, what from my experience and having worked with many people on the topic of self-love and confidence and loving ourselves and doing this inner work and this inner dialogue type of work. I'm talking from that experience, but self-love, and this is how I can describe it, but self-love might mean different things to everyone of you. So also it's beautiful, to see what self-love means to you and how can you develop a more loving relationship with yourself, because that's the most beautiful love story that you are ever going to experience, the relationship with yourself, because it's there all your life, from the moment you're born until you die. And you can break up with yourself. You can't get a divorce from yourself. So that is the most important love story. So yeah, it's about understanding what self-love means to you as well, in particular, because it will be different for different people. Jay saying, I felt a little lighter. Wonderful. I gave my inner critic a hug. Fantastic. I love that. Yeah, we really need to stop fighting the parts of ourselves that we find annoying, that are critical, that sabotage ourselves, because they need healing. And there's no healing without love or without acceptance. It's impossible. So if we fight them, they're only going to come back stronger. If we fight them enough, trying to repress them and, and trying to get them out of the room, they might go for a while, but they might come back with reinforcements or stronger than before. So yeah, hugging the inner critic, wonderful practice. And then from there, you can start in a conversation, you can start a dialogue, you can start negotiation, you can come to an agreement. Wonderful. So I would like to finish the session with a short meditation to get you again into that heart space, I'm going to be here after we do this for questions, and I would love to share. I would love you guys to share your insights, if you have any questions, your experience of this session. But now we're going to do a short meditation. So make yourself comfortable. And again, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And allowing the body to relax, especially the belly and the chest, expanding with each inhalation. Letting go of what is no longer serving you with each exhalation. I'm bringing the awareness to the heart and breathing deeply and slowly into the heart. And seeing how at the center of the heart, at the bottom of the heart, there is a seed of light, a spark of light, golden and pink light. And with each breath, you're making it bigger, you're making it stronger. It's growing with each breath and taking over your heart space. And where there was resentment or anger or sadness, this spark of pink golden light that is becoming more of a ball of golden pink light now. It's melting all that away. Any barriers that you might have put around the heart to protect yourself. Let that light come through. You might see like cracks, like those crack lines through which the spark, the ball of golden pink light can shine through. And you start to feel this energy of deep, unconditional love coming from within you, because it's always being there. It's always being inside of you. It's not something external. It's always being within you. It's just that sometimes we put on layers and barriers. So just let that all be melt away. And those parts of yourself or negative thoughts or unpleasant energies in the body that you identified right before, let them be filled with this golden and pink light. And if there was an unpleasant emotion in the body or a tense part of the body, see how it relaxes, see how it calms down, see how it transmutes into this unconditional love. If it was a thought, a belief, or a part of yourself, see how that pink golden light heals them. Maybe they soften. Maybe they don't need to be that harsh anymore. And this ball of golden pink light has taken over the whole heart, and now it's taking over the whole body. It's taking over the whole room you're in, the whole world. Let the whole universe know of this energy within you. Really building that connection with yourself, that unconditional love for yourself, and also becoming in resonance with people, with experiences that will bring you even more love, that are aligned with this vibration of loving yourself, treating yourself with respect, valuing yourself, celebrating, honoring yourself. Wonderful. And slowly, you can start bringing your awareness to the physical body. If you wish to remain in this vibration, in this state, in this energy, and continue to emanate more pink golden light, feel free to do so. This is the, I'm just going to wrap up. This is the end of the talk. I'm going to be here for questions and to share a few final insights. But if you feel like just carrying, you know, keeping the momentum going and enjoying that energy, feel free to do so. And if you are ready to come back to this session, you can open your eyes and meet me back in the screen. Okay, my loves. So I would love to hear from you how that went for you, how that felt for you, any insights. You guys are so wise. Like every time I give one of these talks and you guys share your insights and where you are in the journey, it's amazing. It amazes me. So yeah, your comments and your questions make this very, very rich. Don't think that there is a silly question or something that is not worth mentioning, because it is worth mentioning, and it's worth asking the question, because sometimes you inspire other people and you help other people who are like, oh, that's me. And if you want to share any particular challenges you might be facing when it comes to self-love, also let me know, because I can point you to more specific resources. Right, I'm going to catch up with the comments. So Tony is saying, run into a part that had been waylaid so many times that can't be spontaneous, need to hold back, I lost it, or wary of conflict. Yeah, sometimes when a part of ourselves has been either heard or has experienced something painful so many times, it can take time. Like if you have been holding on to, you know, whether that's trauma, painful situation, anger, resentment, you know, a belief, it might take a bit of time to even get to talk to them, because they might be very reluctant to even have a conversation with you. They might be like, who is this person, you know, and this is risky and I'm not going to have a conversation with you. So if that happens, it's normal, by the way. And yeah, it is a process, and it can take time. But yeah, it's about asking those parts of it that, you know, like, what do you need? What do you need to do to feel more spontaneous? What would you like to say? What do you need to know? You know? Oh, Roddy saying energy, 23 days sober today. Congratulations. Well done. A true act of self-love right there. Amazing. Very appropriate for this talk. Yeah, well done. Yeah, thank you to everyone who came here. More congratulations to Brad. Tony saying, I think I need to work much more on the root chakra and the fear and anticipation of conflict than I realized. Yeah, so that's something that came to your awareness. Amazing. Embrace it. You know where it is located, and yeah, it's about tracking it, you know, and what that, or where that fear comes from, you know, what happened, that there is a part that is a bit scared of that. And we all have these parts of ourselves, by the way, so whether we are aware of them or not. So the other thing, I feel like I'm in a stage of forgiving myself for staying in an unhealthy relationship for about 4 years. Need to clear that energy, growing myself love, with the anticipation that I'll attract a healthy partner to that journey. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when we come out of a relationship like that, we're like, oh, how did I let myself do that? You know, and probably everyone around, like, I remember, you know, one of the relationships that I really struggled the most with, and that I really struggled to end, because I couldn't, and everyone around could see that it was so bad for me, and I was so blind. And yeah, I hear you, Fiona, and I've been there thinking, oh, how did I not see it? Why did it take me 3 years, you know, to get out of here? All that time wasted. But at the same time, there's always a lesson to learn. And, and if you were there, or if I was there at that time, it's what has made me who I am today. And the lessons, it's about transmuting. I always talk about transmuting all stories into wisdom, right? So letting go of what is no the what is no longer serving us, the imprint, and turning it into, right, so what can I learn from here? So you heal that, and you're not attached to it anymore, or you don't react emotionally anymore. It's become wisdom, it's become a lesson and part of the journey. Yeah, Lisa saying, oh yes, I can relate. Yeah, because I knew at the time I just couldn't stop. Yeah, for me, yeah, deep inside we know. I hear you, Fiona. I absolutely hear you. Yeah, Lisa saying, learned so much and grew a lot from it, but damn, it was painful. Yeah, because we sometimes learn the hard way. We can learn the easy way, but sometimes we make our lives very complicated. um yeah, Fiona is with Lisa. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, so what I'm going to invite you to do, guys, if you enjoy this session, is join the self-love course that I have here on Inside Timer. It's 7 days, because it's going to take you much more deeply into the process that we have been doing here before. And he also has a very deep healing meditation to really access these parts of yourself, and to really clear that and heal that. And the next few Thursdays, I'm going to be here covering the topic of relationships. So next Thursday, we have why relationships fail and common mistakes we make. The week after is going to be about letting go of all relationships. So because they leave an imprint, and sometimes it can, like, even energetically, we can hold on to the presence of that person. Sometimes they might be even like energetic cords. So yeah, there's an art of leaving all relationships behind, and yeah, and transmuted that into the lessons and what will make us a more improved version of ourselves for the next relationship. And that's very important, to clear all relationship baggage before we go into another relationship, or to make sure that we are the best we can be in our current relationship. And the last one is going to be about the mindset shifts that need to happen to attract, to become a magnet for healthy, fulfilling relationships. This is very interesting. As I say, trying to be fine with our relationship, and that's really great. And maybe you can apply that to the relationship with yourself, because that's what we have been talking about here. So yeah, so maybe that's the relationship that you have to nurture and enjoy. Jay saying, I'm scared to be in one. Relationships are scary. Relationships are scary because they trigger us so much. They can trigger us so much, so much. And we see, like, it can bring up the worst parts of ourselves. It can trigger our deepest wounds. So yeah, and I'm not surprised that more and more relationships are going more into, like, this whole virtual online, because it is easier to put a mask, or to just to not get to that level of intimacy. There are lots of barriers, so we might feel very protected. So yeah, it might be but again, it's all about talking to that part of yourself, or understanding where that fear comes from, to make sure that if you're not in a relationship, it's because you don't feel like it, which is totally fine. But if you are not in one, it's not because you're missing out on something that you would like to have. Fiona saying, I would love to be in a healthy relationship with someone, but in the meantime trying to feel awesome solo. Yeah, that's the thing. A relationship with someone should be something that, that puts the cherry on top, to people that complement each other, that help each other grow, that add value to each other, not the filling the gaps or the holes that we might have, because then, yeah, it's not going to last long. So yeah, so being happy being single can be a challenge, and it's also an art, but it is a wonderful place to develop that self-love, to build that confidence, to feel whole, to come to a place of wholeness and feeling enough and okay and whole, and this is who I am. And then from that place, when that's what you bring to the table, then the person you can meet, and you start complementing each other, and you grow together, then that's where magic happens in relationships. When we come from that place, not when we come from, oh, I need someone to meet my needs, oh, I need someone to rescue me, oh, I need someone to bully because this is how I interact. So yeah, wonderful time to build that self-love and confidence and self-worth. So exciting. Okay, my loves, so I think we are going to wrap up. Before we go, I'm going to ask you to give me a follow here on Inside Timer, so you can be notified of all these Thursday sessions that are coming up in February. I also have a weekly Monday one on emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So you've probably seen this thing where we say something about ourselves and we tap all over the face. And that's really cool, really powerful technique to clear energetic blocks. So if anything came up today that you don't even know like where it comes from, you feel so comfortable in the body, that's the type of great thing to bring to those sessions, because we don't think about it, we don't try to rationalize it, we just tap it away. We tap into the meridians, into the energy channels, and we block and we release. We don't block ourselves, hopefully. We release the blocks at an energetic level, which is much more powerful than just trying to rationalize it, thinking about it. So I hope to see you around. Thank you so much for your feedback, for your positive reviews, for your donations, for your beautiful words. They're always welcome and much appreciated. Thank you for being here with me today. I've really enjoyed this session, and I'll see you around. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, and I can point you to specific resources, or I always like to hear from you. So feel free to reach out with any questions or any insights you would like to share. And in the meantime, I will see you around. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.